If the defendant can kill her own parents in such a violent manner, I fear for my own safety and the safety of my family and friends.
A shocking double homicide rocking a small Georgia community. Could an expert witness tip the scales of justice for the defendant? 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick was back in court on Tuesday. Her trial set to begin on January 5th. Both parties discussed possible hurdles, including a pending evaluation from a neuropsychologist. The defense team intends to call that expert during the trial, but said on Tuesday that the expert's report won't come in until a few days before trial. Well, back in August, friends and family faced off over the good and bad of Sarah Grace.
Hurting someone simply isn't in her nature or character. Over the years, I have held her through moments of deep pain and tears, and through it all, her love to her family, especially her siblings, Jaylee and Donnie, has remained unwavering. She would never do anything to harm them. She wants only to protect them.
I trusted Sarah, and I loved her like a sister. Why would she do this to me? And why would she hurt everyone like this? I don't understand why someone would do this, but I know it is not right. My dad and Kristen didn't deserve this. No one does. And I don't think someone who could do something like this should be allowed to go free right now.
Now, it's important to know that after the homicides occurred, Sarah Grace Patrick went to TikTok and was actively reaching out to content creators, trying to seemingly garner sympathy and support and get her story out there. Some experts that we've had on this program believe that perhaps she was trying to socially engineer the public opinion about the case. Remember, she's the one who called 911 to report it, gave a eulogy. But police say she's in fact the person that killed them. That's the allegation. So what's going on with her? Was she suffering from something at the time, didn't know right from wrong? Or is she a little psychopath? What do you think? Let's bring in psychotherapist and the CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey. Good morning, Dr. Janie. Nice to see you as always. Would love your take on this. And I want to start, we know you haven't personally evaluated her, but tell us what's standing out to you as you evaluate the facts that are public about this young lady.
So what stands out to me, Julie, I first asked that question that everyone's asking, was she insane? But, you know, when I think about it from a clinical sense, meaning does she have a mental illness? I would say possibly, right? So when we think about adolescents in particular who come from homes where there's domestic violence, there's drug exposure and chronic instability, we can see even at the age of 16, there's emerging personality pathology. They develop attachment disorders. They have trauma responses. So all of those things are possible. But, you know, if I was to, you know, look at from a legally insane point of view, based on what we know publicly, I would say that that's a very difficult argument to make because I think a couple things. She calls 911. She posted grief videos, as you mentioned, for months. She reached out to true crime influencers and said about the coverage is going to be a big hit. So, and commenting on videos. So all of this stuff to me, and even planning her funeral, her parents' funeral and delivering the eulogy, to me, this suggests a person who was cognitively intact and aware of the consequences. And when we think about engaging in calculated behavior, to me, that's not insanity. That's something completely different. But Julie, what I would also share is that what strikes me about this case is the family history, right? Sarah's parents had a contentious divorce when she was 11. There was allegations of drug use, I believe, and exposure to meth. There was an incident where her stepfather accused her mother trying to run him over. So Sarah herself told police as an 11-year-old that she felt unsafe. So what we know, Julie, is that when a child grows up in chaos, and we know from research that adverse childhood experiences, what we call ACEs, are strongly correlated with later mental health problems, emotional dysregulation, and yes, even violent behavior, Julie. But trauma is an explanation, not an excuse.
Yes. Boy, I could listen to you all day, Dr. Jane. I really could talk about this. Digging in a little bit deeper, if you don't mind, please. Something, you know, we notice when we see her in these various hearings, there have been a lot of tears. you know, and she looks kind of like a basket case, you know, and some may find it, you know, easy to sympathize with her and question whether she did it. I mean, her own grandfather believes strongly in her innocence and has spoken to us and said there's no way she could have done this. That being said, police worked this case very carefully. They didn't jump to conclusions. We know it was many months before they firmly said she's the one that committed these homicides. Is it possible that someone can act with no remorse at one point in time? We know she was very, you know, collected, you know, to a degree, calm enough to deliver a eulogy in front of a lot of people. But then months later, she's in court and things are getting real for her. She's breaking down. I guess what I'm asking is it possible that, you know, she could exhibit one behavior at one time and then a kind of a different face at another time?
Yeah, absolutely, Julie. When we think about children, there's millions of children that grow up in difficult circumstances, but they do not kill their parents. So I think while her trauma history is very relevant, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's insanity, for example. But what I would suggest is that when we look at trauma-related disorders like PTSD, complex PTSD, or developmental trauma disorder, given her childhood, this would not be surprising that one moment we're seeing emotions, another moment she's not seeing it. We're not seeing any type of emotions, because potentially with what we know, the evidence in this case, and what we know about childhood trauma, is there could be emerging personality disorder, right? And we can potentially, that's what we're seeing, because at 16 we can't formally diagnose most personality disorders, but you can identify the traits, antisocial traits, borderline traits, narcissistic traits. Any of these could be present. So as I'm watching and seeing the emerging of different responses, these are the types of things that I think about when we think about executive functioning and impulse control, especially for a 16-year-old, because we know that their prefrontal cortex governs judgment and impulse control. Is still being developed at this age, Julie.
Wow, this is just so sad. And her younger sister, I think of her, she was the one who found the bodies of her parents, you know? And so, I mean, if Sarah Grace did this and if she let her little sister find them, that is just cruel beyond cruel. We'll continue following this one. Again, January 5th is the date set for trial. So after we get through the holidays, that's going to be a huge case, as you know.